Why it is important and good to be a doll collector. Dolls in themselves are childlike fun, the way that we set up our sets and the way that we put them in the case. Look at my family legacy. Look at what my mom left. I did not expect that this would be my thing. Hi, welcome back. It's so good to see you. I say that every time because it is so good to see you. I miss you and I love talking about dolls, so I'm back pretty quickly from the last video because I stumbled across a doll that I meant to put in our last video and because I want to chat about dolls. Most of us that are watching right now are adults, and I wanted to chat about some of the reasons that you should be a doll collector as an adult. I think if you're watching this channel, then you have a love of dolls, you have an appreciation of dolls, you're a doll collector. Let me know which one of those brackets you fall into. But as your doll bestie, which is what I am, I want to remind you of why it is important and good to be a doll collector, because a lot of times in life, this doesn't happen to me very much, but it happens to a lot of you. And I know this because of the comments and the stuff that you say to me, that you get pushback from family, from friends, from strangers about being a doll collector, especially as an adult or maybe as a man or a boy. I get a lot of men coming to the channel saying that they get people coming to them and just rude comments about why they shouldn't be a doll collector as a man. And that's something I've done an entire video on. But you know, doll collecting is for everybody. And I talk about that a lot. Doll collecting is for everybody. No matter what your background is, no matter what your situation is, you can be a doll collector and have a love of dolls. You can be, have all the money in the world and be a doll collector and a love of dolls, and you can have no money and still be a doll collector and have a love of dolls because it's in your heart. What you are and how you enjoy that in life is all a matter of perspective. And luckily for dolls, there's a lot of wonderful dolls that you can get that are not tons and tons of money. Sometimes you can even get them for free just because people want them to go to good homes. But I'm here to give you a little leg up. Now, most of us, I think, feel really good about doll collecting, but sometimes when we get that sly comment or we get people that are not supportive, it can weigh on you sometimes. And I know this because it happens to me. As a person that puts a lot of myself out there, a lot of my life and what I do out there, and then I get rude comments, it does get under your skin. And it's hard because I get so many wonderful comments and 99.999% of you are amazing, but then you get the people that have no idea, no clue, and they'll just say something totally rude about something that you've worked really hard on, especially if you're an artist and you put something out there that you made and somebody says something. It can be hard. So sometimes you just need to be reminded why doll collecting is special and why you should never give up on doll collecting. And then I also have a doll that I wanted to show you that I didn't put in my last video, where I was showing some of the new additions to our doll shop. So, hi, my name is Rachel Hoffman. I am owner of Turn of the Century Antiques, which is where we are sitting. We've got a lot of different spots in the shop, but I usually sit over here because there's a window behind me and there's some really good light. When you come into the shop in person, it doesn't look like that in person. It's real romantic and dreamy, but then for videos, it can be very dark. So I do a lot of videos over here. I try to do different angles just to show something different in the background, but that's where we're sitting. The doll shop out here in Denver, Colorado, which I feel like is kind of a random place to have a doll shop, but that is where my mother was born and raised. That's where I have lived my entire life, is right here in Colorado. So I am very proud to have a doll shop here in this mountain state that we have, and it is wonderful to be here and to be sharing with you always on the internet. So let's talk about some of the reasons why. I took some notes and I wrote some down, but let's talk about some. I did like a top 10, and I would love to hear your comments and sharing, and there's a million reasons why it's great to be a doll collector, so this is by no means covering them all, but it's some of them. So it's my top 10 for now, but I'm always thinking of new wonderful reasons to be a doll collector. But the first one is nostalgia. So revisiting childhood favorites can bring back fond memories and creating a comforting atmosphere in your life. So we all know what that is. A lot of people that are doll collectors collect dolls that they either had from their childhood or they wish they had in their childhood, and they're getting a second run at childhood and they're really enjoying it and taking it to the fullest. And I find that a lot. My mother grew up very poor. She did not have dolls. She didn't have a lot of things growing up. So this was kind of her doll collecting was, it wasn't like revenge or anything, but she really, really enjoyed doll collecting and she worked really hard to have it. And all the dolls that are here. So she basically, after she gave her children a wonderful childhood, she put all of her money into dolls and she enjoyed it to the absolute fullest. And it was always very childlike and fun for her. Dolls in themselves are childlike fun. The way that we set up our sets and the way that we put them in the case, you know, they're not sitting there like lawyers at a table that are, you know, being super serious. It's a serious hobby, but it's not a serious thing. And it's fun and silly. And a lot of times we use our imagination and we have a lot of fun with it. I talk about that sometimes with our subscription service boxes, because when you open them up, we want you to use your imagination to start doll play and to set up little sets and have your dolls talk to each other and to set up vignettes where they're doing things. And sometimes as an adult, we can get kind of away from that, because when we were little, a lot of us used to play with Barbies and they'd talk to each other and they'd go and do things. And then as we get an adult, we were conditioned not to do that by society sometimes, I think. But it's so good for the soul. Some people might look at you like you're a crazy person, and it doesn't matter, because if it's good for the soul and it's good for you, then that's what's the most important thing. So revisiting childhood nostalgia is such a good reason to be an adult doll collector. All right, the second one is artistic appreciation. So doll collecting, as far as art goes, dolls for me are the number one way that I like to, besides like a really great painting too. I really like paintings, but dolls are completely artistic, from everything about how they're made, from especially the antique and the old ones, when we're really talking about craftsmanship and art. Of course, the modern ones too, but when we're talking about the historical significance of them, the wonderful artist dolls of today are going to be the historical significant dolls of tomorrow. But one of the reasons why people really love to collect antique dolls is because of the historical craftsmanship involved in them and involved in making them, especially ones that are really, really old, from 200, 300 years old. You look at those, you look at them kind of like we look at the Great Pyramids and we think, how did they do that? How did they do that? And we think about that with the dolls. I think about that with some of the dolls that we have around here, that they were made in these crude factories sometimes with crude materials and none of the modern conveniences that we have right now, and they're just absolutely amazing. So the artistic appreciation, from the craftsmanship to the historical significance, and of course the aesthetic beauty of having a doll, having a lot of dolls, it's kind of like having a tiny museum right in your own house. You can learn and do so much with your own dolls. So that for me is a really good reason to be a doll collector. Now, if you're a child and you're watching this, all of these apply. All of them apply. But I'm speaking from the context of being an adult doll collector, which is what I am. I am in my late 30s, and I deal with people that are all ages, all races, all nationalities, all levels of life. But I would say the majority of my audience and my customers are adults. You're over 65, and I know this because of my video analytic and the sell-through on my website. It tells me how old you are. So most of us are adults, and sometimes it's just fun to hear about why we're all doing this, right? So the third one is a huge one that is super important to the Virtual Doll Convention brand, the Turn of the Century Antiques brand. We're two brands that all operate under one roof, and that is community. Community, the doll collecting world, a welcoming and supportive community. And it's really fun to meet like-minded people that love the same things that you do, and you can enjoy all of that together. So with the virtual doll convention, of course, we have online groups where we talk about everything. We share pictures, we share content, we share all kinds of wonderful things. And it is such a great way to connect and to get together. That's how we started the virtual doll convention in the first place, is because I was traveling around and going to all these amazing doll conventions and doll events all over the country and all over the world. In the very beginning, I was one of the first people to actually start going live and filming these shows and showing everyone what I was doing. And it took off like crazy because a lot of people that were homebound or couldn't go to the show for a million reasons why we can't go to shows really appreciated being a part of it. And now we're in this digital world where we can be in Facebook groups, and we can have groups that focus on niche parts of doll collecting, where you're in a group where you all focus on one thing, or groups where you focus on antique dolls or modern dolls or artist dolls. You can create your own group about your own collection or what you're trying to do and get people in your group. I mean, it's just amazing the way that we can connect within our little communities. Okay, I'm back, and I just have to say, we are an operating doll shop. And so you just heard the phone in the background. Totally normal. We are here in operation. We have hours. I try to answer the phone as much as I can, but it rings off the hook. So Christopher just got the phone, and he is going to send it straight to message as soon as it rings. I'm not actually sure how to mute it, but I'm sure we could figure that out. But anyway, we are working here. So if you're calling while I'm chatting with you, we will return your call as soon as possible. But right now we're having our virtual chat. Sometimes it's hard with the phone ringing. Man, it was ringing off the hook. The doll collecting world and the doll industry is crazy. Sometimes our phone will not ring like all day. And then sometimes we wonder if like there's like things happening out in the universe, because we'll get like 25 calls in a day and like 10 people coming in. We are open by appointment, and that is for our safety, for a million reasons for our safety. Just the historic reasons of why we've needed this safety over the years. It has nothing to do with nice doll collectors like you. It has everything to do with people that are not well-intentioned that have come in here before. But anyway, we are open by appointment, but sometimes we get a lot of people who just show up. And of course, if you're a doll collector and you come to the door and you didn't know we were open by appointment, which is it's all over our website. We'd like to know that you're coming, because sometimes we're filming like the whole day. And so we don't want you to make a big trip and then show up when we're filming and we can't see you, because sometimes we have to film, especially when we're doing unboxing videos. But anyway, I just got off on a tangent, and that wasn't really necessary, but you know, sometimes I just like to tell you everything. And you know I like to talk. So the next one. This one I used to actually say was a good reason to be a doll collector, and now I say it's not a good reason to be a doll collector, but I'm still gonna put it in my top 10 list, and that is investment. Now, you might think, well, what do you mean? Like, how? So when you're investing in dolls, first of all, if somebody says to me, I want to invest in this doll because I want to put my money in it because it'll increase in value and it'll be a good investment for my money. Wrong reason to be a doll collector. Wrong reason. If you're looking to have dolls as an investment for your money and have a good return after 10, 15, 20 years, a doll is not like stocks and bonds. They're not like a CD where you can grow your money. Yes, sometimes dolls have increased exponentially over the years, but that's not something you can always count on. The investment with the dolls is the joy and the love that you feel and receive from them by having them in your life. That's your investment into them, and that's the investment into you. So don't ever buy a doll just solely because you think it's going to increase in value. Yes, it might very well. So many dolls have increased in value, and some of them are selling for record prices, and it's absolutely crazy. But with my mother's collection, I do, out of curiosity and just because it is my job, I monitor what is happening in the doll market. And there has been some of her very rare dolls that are selling for like record prices. And then I've seen some of her dolls selling for like very, very low prices. And if those dolls are the types that you love, that's when you got to strike and buy them, or not buy them when they're high too, if you've got the money. But my advice is don't ever buy a doll because you're trying to get money out of it. Sometimes we just spend ridiculous amounts of money on a certain doll because we want it. And we want to enjoy it and have fun with it and enjoy that as the investment. So it's a little different for me because I am running a business and I do have to make a certain amount of money and profit. And so I don't just like splash around tons of money just because I want things. That will get you in some hot water. But when I do buy things, I know that maybe next year or the year after, maybe I could get my money back. Maybe I would lose some money. Maybe I would make some money, but I don't get too attached to the outcome. When you buy a doll, you buy it for the doll that it is, and don't get too attached to what the financial outcome could be. And the biggest reason for that is because it takes off stress. If you're really worried about getting your money's worth out of your dolls that you've been enjoying for the last 20 years, well, chances are that's not going to happen in your favor because there's a lot of reasons for that. And so if you just let the stress be and just know that it's going to be what it's going to be, it takes a load off. I'm talking a lot, so hopefully my reasons don't get all jumbled together. I think that a lot of you can identify with that. People come in here and they're like, what are you going to do with all these at the end? Well, if Holland Diane's not a doll collector and at the end of my life or however it may fold, as long as they get back into the hands of doll collectors who know what they are, that is the most special thing and the most important thing. So plan your financial investments outside of dolls, because you don't want to be in a situation where you're like, oh my gosh, I need to make my rent, so I'm going to go sell my prized doll. Now, of course, we've all been in situations where we've needed some money and we had to sell some of our assets that are things that we have that are valuable, such as jewelry or dolls. Not judging, but when you buy something, buy it because you love it and not because you're attached to the outcome of what it's going to be, because you don't want to be disappointed. And let's face it, the doll industry is very fickle. It fluctuates. It goes up and down like crazy. And what something is worth is what somebody is willing to pay for it. I see every day in groups, I get massive amounts of emails every day, which actually can be pretty annoying because people send me photos of dolls and they just want to know what they're worth. And I'm like, on what day, on what platform, in what auction house, in what world, in what garage sale? I don't know. It can be tough to do that. So, but let's take a break. I want to show you a Raggedy Andy that came in that I meant to show you in the last video, and then we'll get to our next reason of why it is fun to be and good to be adult doll collectors. So this is a really sweet letter that came from Alexandria. Now, Alexandria was going through her grandmother's estate of dolls, and there was all different dolls there, and her biggest thing was that she really just wanted them to go to good homes. Now, if you've got very valuable dolls, that's a different story, but most of the people that I come in contact with all the time, they just have lots of dolls that are generally kind of hard to sell, and there's usually a ton of them, and it's like, what do you do? Well, there's a lot of different things you can do, but we were looking through all the dolls and I was giving her just a cursory opinion of the dolls because, let's face it, monetary value is much different from sentimental value, and you might have a doll that's priceless to your family history, but worth in terms of cash, $20. So every doll is different, but she sent me this Raggedy Andy. I could not turn him down. She showed me a picture of him and she just wanted him to go to a good home. And this is a Voland Raggedy Andy, and how could I not? Look at how his little head is attached. Somebody loved this Raggedy Andy so much. It's attached with a little wire. Oh my gosh, and his little face. I paid her $75 for this doll out of love because he is a survivor. And I told her that if she found his other arm, I would give her some more money because he does need the arm. Now the arm could be like remade, but I'm just gonna, we will attach the arm and we'll put him in our case like this. But he is just so sweet. And she said, he has been living in our family for a long time, but neglected sadly. I did not meet him until this last August as I helped my parents move out of their house in Columbia, Maryland. He has been living in a box with a few other dolls in my mother's bedroom since being shipped to her by my grandmother in the early 1990s. And then she talks just about her family and stuff like that. And then she says, I think the collection may have been started by my great-great-grandmother, but of course Andy would not have existed in her time. I wish I knew more about Andy's story and where his second arm is. But the people that truly love the dolls are long gone, and none of the houses in which he lived are still in the family. I have never engaged much with dolls. Stuffed animals were always my love, but I have come to appreciate them and people's attachments to them, and as a result of sorting through this experience. I hope to rehome most one way or the other, but I expect that I will keep a few, at least to honor my grandmother's attachment. Thanks for giving Raggedy Andy a loving home. Best wishes to you and your family, human and doll. What a sweet letter. Alexandria, if you're watching that is such a sweet letter. It's extremely rare for me to ever pass up a Volan Raggedy Ann or Andy, especially in any kind of condition, just because they are little survivors and they are really sweet. Look at his feet are in wonderful condition. But he's gonna live with our other dolls here in this little Raggedy case right here that is dedicated to Jonathan Green. So he's gonna have a nice life with us for a very long time. So I hope you enjoyed seeing him. Now let's look at the next reason. Cultural awareness. Cultural awareness is a great reason to learn and teach and to have dolls, especially if you're a teacher. So dolls from various backgrounds can be a gateway to learning about different cultures and traditions. I have learned so much about different cultures and traditions, especially about what regional costumes with dolls. So if you have dolls with regional costumes, drop me a comment. Even Madame Alexander dolls from over the years that have been so popular that are in regional outfits from the country that they represent, I think is a great way to learn and to appreciate dolls and culture. So that's a good one. The next one is educational. That kind of couples on cultural awareness because you can learn so much through doll collecting. Like the history behind everything in dolls is so rich, so great. You learn about the history of the maker, where the maker lived, what was happening, which is why the dolls were made in the way they were, what kind of materials were available to the person that made them, why they look the way they do, because it was important to the maker, and so many things I have learned about history and culture through doll collecting. That's, for most of us, like that's part of the fascination too, is learning the backstory and the history of what was happening in the world, what was going on at the time, why they did what they did through the lens of dolls. So it's super cool. So doll collecting can be educational. It can teach you about history, fashion trends. Oh, I've learned so much about fashion, and the economic conditions based on different eras. The next one is mindfulness, which is in the way of talking about it like stress relief. Drop me a comment if spending time with your dolls can be a form of relaxation and stress relief. It is for me so much. We have such a beautiful shop here that's just full of all these magical things, and we get to come here and work in this tiny little magical world that's plopped right down in the middle of the big, wide, often scary, crazy world that's surrounding us out there. But when we're here, we get to be in this magical world that's full of things that are just all about love and happiness and joy and gratitude. And what a magical, amazing thing to be a part of just as a doll shop, and to have my career be about dolls. I just absolutely love that. But as collectors too, you have your doll rooms or your doll case or your doll collection, no matter how big or small. When you're looking at those things, so you sometimes look at them and just take a sigh, and you're automatically just relaxed, and it's almost like being at the spa in a way. It's just like, you know, you take like a deep breath. So there again, that's some more of the value you're getting out of your dolls. Every time that you just feel better, you can think of that as a form of therapy. Dolls are a huge form of therapy. Personal enrichment. So that is a big one. The next one is legacy. So doll collecting is a wonderful hobby to share with family and friends, and it could be a legacy for you to pass down to future generations. Now, this one is different for everybody, of course. I would say a large majority of the people that I run into say that their heirs, their daughters, their sons want nothing to do with doll collecting, and that is very, very typical. But also with a lot of people, it is something that they find that they can bond with certain people in their family if they're fortunate enough to. And I think that's great. Mother and sons, father and sons. We've had Alton and his dad in here bonding over doll collecting. We've had all kinds of people that are families and friends that have bonded over doll collecting. And if you have someone in your family that absolutely loves dolls, that you can give them a doll as a part of a family history, that they would love it and appreciate it. How cool is that? That is really, really cool. I am probably the biggest example of that out there. Not the biggest, but one of them, because like, look at my family legacy. Look at what my mom left. I did not expect that this would be my thing. Even growing up, I kind of shuffled dolls off. They were what my mom did, and I just really honestly was not that interested. I wanted to do other things. And then as I started to learn more about the doll community and the people that I met and how fun it was to do doll stuff and to be around doll collectors and the personalities that I met and everything, I just started to really like it. I've done all kinds of other things in my career. I explored all different ways to make money and to have a livelihood, and I tried other things, but I kept circling back to dolls because it was just so dang fun. It was so fun. And then everything started to happen with my mom and with her disease and everything. And it became something that was my responsibility. But then at that point I was all in. And so here we are, a second generation of doll collectors and doll lovers. And so this is my mother's legacy, and her legacy is dolls. And that is incredible. So it'll be interesting and fun to see what happens with my daughter, with Holland Diane. She may love dolls and she may be YouTubing in 30 years, and I'll be the crotchety old lady in the back, but maybe not, who knows. It'll be really fun to see what she likes and what she likes to do. But I think that is a really fun way. But also, if you don't have people in your family and you don't have anyone that you can pass them down to, that's okay. Just make sure that you have a will in place with specific instructions of what to do, and enjoy your dolls while you're here on earth. And then when you go to heaven, the dolls will be taken care of because they will go back in the hands of doll collectors. And then it's like the circle of life. That's all we can hope for our dolls, is that they travel and keep living other lives. I do not want to be an Egyptian taking all of these wonderful things with me by any means. I am going to be one day dead, and I don't care about taking any of this with me because it is all material. And the best thing that I can hope for is that it goes back into the hands of people that know what they are, that appreciate them, and that they can keep living more lives. And that is one of the things that I just hope happens for the future. The future of dolls is that we get people that still appreciate what they are and what they represent and want to give them good homes. My last reason right now for wanting to be a doll collector of any age, or especially an adult doll collector, is unapologetic joy. Dolls bring us so much joy and so many good feelings. And I'm going to share with you that I know a lot of you probably are feeling the exact same way, is that in a lot of ways, because what is happening in the world with things that are happening globally, everything feels really hard right now. I take in a lot of those things, like a lot of us too. Doll collectors tend to be very sensitive. We're sensitive to life. We're sensitive to the world. If I wasn't a sensitive person, I wouldn't have purchased this sweet little Andy because he needs a good home, right? You know, he's so sweet. He's so sweet. And so a lot of things feel really hard right now. There's a lot of the stuff that's just going on in the world and images that we're seeing on social media. There was a few times last week, I'm just gonna share something like just kind of personal, but last week with all the stuff that's been happening globally, with all the horrible things, the war and everything that's going on, I opened my phone to do work, and a lot of my work is on social media, and I saw images that I'm just like, that very, very, very distressing to me, that I'm never going to be able to unsee. And in a way, I'm glad I saw them, because I don't want to be with my head in the sand about the realities of what happens in the world. But with that came a lot of distress. In the moment last week, what I did for a lot of the week, which is something I don't typically do, is I stress ate. I would see something or hear something, or it would just be in front of me, and I would not know what to do. And so I would just turn to eating chocolate, eating stuff late at night, there was a couple times that I was eating straight up. I was making s'mores at 7 in the morning. Part of that is because I really love s'mores, and then part of that was because I was just stressed out, and I'm not sure I knew where to put those feelings, and it was just really hard. It still is hard. I see stuff, and then I have almost like survivor's guilt of, why do I get to have a nice life and this enchanted shop and chase after my dreams, and then it's not the same for somebody over there. And all I can do is do the best that I can and pray for hope and peace in this world, and continuing to do my best and my part, which is taking care of my community the best that I can, taking care of my daughter the best that I can, taking care of the animals that I have made a commitment to the best that I can, reaching out to friends, and just trying to be a good human. And sometimes we have to battle a lot of that guilt that we feel because of what is happening around the world. But dolls play such an important part into happiness. I can't tell you how many times over just even the last week that I have looked at dolls and laughed. Or Christopher and I have had an exchange about what we're trying to do, or putting together a scenario for one of our upcoming videos, or our subscription box, or looking at the artwork that Diana made for one of our subscription things, for our Grace Club or for the Elowen Club, and laughing and being happy. And also unboxing some of the dolls that we have had around here. And not just dolls, of course, too, teddy bears. Let me grab this one. We showed this one in a reel, but this is one that was sent to our little orphanage here. And it says, "Hi, Rachel. Thanks for taking my oldies but goodies dolls and the teddy bear." So, she said, we're having to downsize to a smaller house in New Hampshire, and to have these treasures go somewhere means everything. So, we laughed so much about this little bear that was somebody's pride and joy. Of course, I can't take everything. So if you're looking at this video and you're like, I'm going to send her all this stuff, I'm always happy to take a look and give you an opinion. But we take so much, and we give a lot of it away too. We give it a lot to good homes, and I don't know, we've got a lot of stuff around here, y'all, because we love it, and it's so fun, and it brings us joy. So dolls and teddy bears and playthings and childhood, don't feel bad about that. That's the point of what I'm trying to say, is embrace it. When we have moments of joy, and we have times when things are good and things are happy, don't feel bad about that. I don't want to waste my days away feeling guilty about the fact that in a lot of ways for me, things are good. Do I have stressful times, bad days, sad days, all of these things, worry, all of that? Yes, that's the human condition. But my job in dolls and what I do with dolls brings a tremendous amount of joy and fulfillment to my life. And every day I celebrate that. So I'm telling you that because I need to remind myself that. It's like, just enjoy it and let yourself enjoy it. That's one thing that I'm working on and what I'm trying to do. And of course, making the best decisions and reaching out and just doing the best that I can with what I can do, which is what we're all trying to do, right? We're all just trying to, not all of us. Sometimes we're in survival mode. Sometimes you're off in Paris eating croissants. Life ebbs and flows like crazy. But while it's good, while there's nothing crazy happening and you can just enjoy your dolls, that's a good day. And unapologetic joy is one of the biggest reasons to be a doll collector. So life is too short not to do what genuinely makes you happy. And so don't let any naysayers stop you from pursuing and doing the things that genuinely bring you joy. I had a man in his 50s who collects reborn dolls, and he really just enjoys them, and he has been in the closet for a long time. And I said that if that is what you want to do and that brings you joy, and those little dolls bring you peace and happiness, and you enjoy looking at them and having them in your life, it's okay. And sometimes we have to develop a thick skin a little bit, but again, life's too short not to enjoy and do what you love. I think about my mom a lot in that respect because she was gone too soon. But one thing that I just love about her is that she enjoyed her life. She ate the desserts. She danced. She just had all the fun. And I channel that a lot because sometimes I feel like I need to be a lot more serious just with certain things. And then I'm like, I think about my mom and all the fun that she had. And it's like, carpe diem, YOLO. Let's have fun. Let's just do it. It's a tightrope of making sure you're not being completely irresponsible, but enjoy your dolls. That was a really long-winded way of saying that. Let them bring you joy because that's why they're here. So I love you. It was so fun to have this little talk about why it is great to be a doll collector. Again, if you've got reasons for why you like to be a doll collector, some tips and ideas for people that maybe do not have the support in their community and in their home that I have or that you have, put it in the comments because the most important thing that I hope for with my content and what we put out and what we do is that it reaches people. I want you to be okay, and I want you to enjoy dolls and to want to have them around, not only for my future, but for the dolls' future and for my daughter's future. I do not want doll collecting to wither away. I want doll collecting to continue to thrive and grow, and we have many wonderful communities out there that are just waiting for you to be a part of. So, I hope that this provides a little encouragement for you, and you always have a safe space here on my channel to be a doll collector, and in my groups and in my page and just wherever you might be reaching me on social media or whatnot. This is always a safe space to be a doll collector no matter what. So you can tell me anything. If you were here, I'd tell you anything. And, I was just telling a friend this morning that we're all the same. We're all just trying to walk each other home. We're all kind of doing the same thing. We're all humans and we're all just trying to learn and love and also have some fun and some enjoyment. So I appreciate you very much. And I hope you enjoyed this. I enjoyed seeing you and sharing some things. And I hope we can see each other again soon. If you enjoyed this video, let me know. And if you're new here, I'd love for you to subscribe and be on every single one of our videos because we're always doing something different. We're always having a lot of fun. And most of the time, it always has to do with dolls and or teddy bears or just fun things in life. So I hope this was enjoyable, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.